Good stuff just keeps on coming. Man, we've got a number of Holy Grail amps in right now, and this one is no different. This is a 1960 Fender Bassman in just lovely, lovely condition. Exactly like I personally like to see the tweeds. I've had some clean mint ones, but give me the ratty ones every single time. This one is just a lovely kind of shade of, I don't know, tobacco brown. It's just so beautiful. You see the top of it looking really nice. Overall, pretty clean. You know, the grill cloth, especially in comparison to mine, you guys have seen on the channel, you can see the color really nice on this side. Look at that. Gorgeous. So let's go ahead and flip it around and see what we got. On the back, you can really see the lovely color and patina on this thing. You just can't get this without decades and decades of use. And yeah, it even has the original silk screen in place, which is awesome. These are often worn away. So that's really cool to see. My personal Bassman, you can't read anything. So I had to memorize the tone stack order on it. But yeah, looking pretty good over here. So this amp actually came from Carter's Vintage in Nashville. That's where the owner picked it up. And it works. He told me he's having a little problem with the V1. It's a bit noisy, not exactly sure. I think he might have tried to touch up some solder joints, so we'll have to look into that a little bit and check the tube. And then I also plugged the amp in before starting this video just to see if it, output sound and all those general checks. And I definitely think this top speaker here, top left from the back, either has a ripped cone or something going on with the speaker, because I could tell there was some problems going on, some kind of buzzing, rattling sounds on that speaker specifically. So we'll have to take the speakers out and inspect that. These are, since this is 1960, these are P10Qs, which is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and take the back panel off and see what we got circuit-wise. And here is the circuit reveal, but first let's just look at the tan lines. Appreciate that. Always love when I see tweeds with tan lines like that. So looking at the circuit, there's obviously been a good amount of work done, but I see a lot of original resistors, which is good news. So let's kind of just go through it little by little here. So it's got a large first cathode bypass cap, just like the factory spec. All of the coupling caps have been replaced other than, well, you got an original looking domino there. That would be your treble cap, but you can see it's got extended leads. So yeah, not really sure the story there. Yeah, use Mallory 150s across. Those are good caps. I like those quite a lot. So that's good. Probably what I would have done in mine as well if I had used modern caps. And looks like, we've got some really long leads here. Not the prettiest work in the world. We could probably clean that up for the owner. But yeah, lots of original carbon comp resistors. Look at V1 a little bit closer, so you guys can see better than I can, because I got to stand far back with the camera. But yeah, looks like I don't see anything too crazy first glance. Very fuzzy wire, obviously. So I'm gonna, do what I always do and take the time to go through and really check everything. But we're just doing a first glance here. Looking through the board. Probably want to replace that large resistor there. We'll see, we'll measure all of them. So we got Sprague right here. What is this, 10 microfarad, 500 volt. Again, all these original resistors. And then for the bias supply, it is not adjustable. We've got two Sprague caps in there. It looks like the factory spec, I think it's factory spec 56K. Some large screen grid resistors here and here. This is where things get a little wonky. So we've got this gigantic cap right here. And then we can see the earth connection is what looks to be just wrapped around the lead of this Mallory 150 coming off the standby switch. So that's definitely not how you want to do that. So we're definitely going to replace that. And oh, it gets even a bit wonkier over here. Not sure if you guys will be able to tell. You probably won't be able to. Let me try and brighten it up for you guys a little bit. So hopefully you can see that it's a zip tie. Has the strain relief on. Oh, it's on the bottom too, down here. And they just wrapped it in shrink wrap, it looks like, and then lots and lots of electrical tape to get it thick enough, and then zip tie top and bottom as a strain relief, just covered in electrical tape. Yeah, not sure if you guys can see that, but that's pretty shoddy, to be honest. Not what I want to see. And then kind of similar story here, oversized shrink wrap on top of smaller shrink wrap, but it doesn't look like it even melted that much. For the neutral connection, neutral is going to the fuse tips. That's wrong, or at least not the right way to do it in my opinion. And then the hot is going to the switch. And then the primary is going to the fuse sleeve and the switch. So we need to redo the 3-prong. I think totally just rip it out, do a new one. Other than that, we got a replaced switch here. Some things here, but nothing too crazy, so that's all right. Quick update. This is going to be hard to do with one hand here, but I was inspecting the speakers a little bit and noticed the solder joints are pretty suspect here. In fact, let me zoom in so you guys can see that a little bit better. So hopefully you can see that. Pretty much no solder, and whoops, no solder at all. If you can see that. This one was just hanging in there like that, touched it, and it pulled right out. That's not great. This one, more of the same. If you can see that. No solder actually holding it to the speaker. And this one is connected okay. So that's definitely something we need to rectify. All right, heard back from the owner and he has approved the coat. So we are good to move forward. It's going to be a full recap and just trying to make this amp right. So get rid of that. Orange drop replaced with the Mallory 150 to match the rest. All of the electrolytics will get replaced. And then just kind of more general work cleaning this thing up as best as we can. New 3-prong for sure, so on and so forth. So should be good. Now, I did just go to pull the chassis out, which is a bit difficult on these amps if you don't know, but I just want to show this real quick. Take a look at the screws here. These things are completely chewed up. I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to get these off. To be honest, they look like they are completely stripped, which is unfortunate. So I think we're going to have to replace those more than likely if we're even able to get them off without damaging. So just a little note, I want to get this out so I can assess the rest of the amplifier and work on the workbench. And then so I can have easier access to pull this speaker, which is bad, and then also resolder all of these joints. So let's get to it. I don't know if I ever showed the tube chart. I can't remember. Kind of interesting. It's mounted sideways here. Zoom in a little bit on that. See production 59 and JH. I'll have to remind myself what JH is. So J would be 1960, I believe, and then H would be whatever month that is. So yeah, nice and clean though overall. And we got the chassis out. Thankfully, those screws were not too stripped for me to pull them out. And I've already unscrewed this speaker, so let's see what we're working with. So we're gonna do this one-handed. And see if it's got any rips or anything. All right, let me put it down so I could take a better look at it. So if we look over here at the rim, you can see there's a little bit of a crack right there, but when I push it up on the other side, you can see the whole thing lifts up. So that's what I was hearing when I tested the amp. Oh, there you go. The whole thing is lifted up all the way around the edge from here all the way up to here, it looks like. So that would give you that sort of noise that I heard. Certainly not the end of the world, completely fixable. So really just need to use some like there's speaker glue, I forgot what the official name of it, that I've used with success in the past, or the owner can get it reconed. I'll let him decide what he wants to do there. But yeah, there's a better look at the cone of the speaker. All right, moving to the overhead camera. So I noticed this is a smooth cone as well, which I'm 99% sure would not be original. So I talked to the owner and he said, just go ahead and try and fix it and we can always get it reconed. So we're going to give that a shot. I've got some flexible speaker repair glue, which I've used with success on my own speakers in the past. We'll give that a shot. I do want to just show the extent of it, because it's quite extensive, the damage. So you can kind of see right here is the most obvious area right there, but it keeps going. It kind of stops right around here. If you can see that right there. Let me zoom in a little bit more for you guys. So you can see right there, and we can kind of follow that around. And it goes all the way over to here. Can you see that? Yeah, you guys can see that. So it just keeps going. So yeah, pretty extensive. About almost half of the entire diameter of the speaker here. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. I tried using compressed air to clean it up a little bit. This stuff is pretty stuck on, so I think we'll just have to hit it on both sides with that speaker repair glue and kind of hope for the best and give that a shot. So let's do it real quick. All right, we'll have to see how that holds up, but we covered all of the areas we need to with this stuff. And again, my experience with this stuff is very positive. I've had a lot of success in the past. So we'll see. This is pretty extensive, obviously. A significant portion of the speaker, but from here we can go ahead and move on. While I have the speaker out, I am going to go ahead and solder the or resolder the connections. This one was probably the best of the bunch, and it's still not great. So we'll do that for all of the speakers. Got the chassis out of the cabinet, so we can take a better look at this, and I can show you guys just how nice the faceplate is. All of the silkscreen pretty much still there, which is very uncommon. That's usually long gone by now. So that's pretty cool to see. We can see the serial number. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Right there, looks like, was it BM04011. Now let's go ahead and take a look at this bottom side, because we can't see that when the chassis is still in the cabinet. Get a better look. Try and darken it a little bit, it's not too bright. So the power transformer, these don't have any markings typically on the bell housing here. It's on the inside. We'll see that in a second. You can see the little mounting bracket to hold it to the cabinet. This is a choke, 6060. I can't quite read the other two numbers, with 0 meaning 1960. That's perfect. The output transformer 45249, exactly what you want to see. And a quick glance at the 3-prong here. So you can see it's got a heat shrink and electrical tape around it, and good old zip tie. Just what you want. And then on the underside, I'll show it's got quite a lot of heat damage to this thing. You can see that okay. So yeah, quite a lot of heat damage. I'm not sure if any of that will come off. I think mine was the same way, my 59 Bassman. And looking over at the Doghouse before we open it up, we can see that some of the ground connections for the caps were redone to the actual Doghouse cover, although one is missing for some reason. Not sure exactly how they wired it. And we can see written on top says 430 microfarad, 450 volts. That is not very promising. The voltage on these can be quite high, and 450 volt is not probably high enough. You need these to be 500 volt at least. I think the original spec is 600 volt. So let's see. You know, there's a spray cap inside the chassis. Those are, they make 600 volt versions. So we'll see what's in here. Let's pop it off. And the grand reveal. Oh, what is going on here? What in tarnation? All right, so it looks like they've got a hidden resistor. I don't know if you can see that. You can see just barely, looks like a 220K maybe resistor hidden inside, and it's got this really thick tape set up, so that's very interesting. These are obviously not 450 volt caps. It says 500 volt right there. These look like 600 volt caps. These are 20 microfarad, 500 volts. Smaller ones, these big ones are probably, well, let's see. Oh, you can lift it out like that. There you go. 100 microfarad, 350 volt. Okay, I got to look at the schematic. That seems really high to me. See, there's some solder on the bottom and then just some foam to keep things in place. Interesting. Okay, well, let's start taking this apart and see what we got a little bit deeper. So looking at the schematic here for the 5F6A, we got the 8 microfarad 450 volt cap that's inside the board that you guys saw earlier. And then down the line, we've got a 20 microfarad 600 volt, a 20 microfarad 600 volt, and then two 20 microfarad 600 volts. So this amp appears to have two 20 microfarad 500 volts, presumably for these two positions here and here. And then these two are obviously in parallel, but it appears from how it's wired that these are both in series. Well, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on underneath the surface, but it seems like they might be in series. Okay, so looking at this a little bit closer, you can see they're wired in series. So we got one wire just right here that's coming from the inside the chassis, and then that is going to the positive end. Well, it's going right here, and then it's going to the positive end of the cap, and then there's a resistor here, and there's the negative end, so that goes over here. The negative end is tied over to the positive end of this cap, and then obviously that is going to ground. You can see there's another resistor right in there. You can see that. So these are 100 microfarad, 350 volts. So if you have caps in series, basically you half the microfarad value, assuming they're identical, and then you double the voltage value. So this is equivalent to a 50 microfarad 700 volt cap, essentially, which is great, actually. And it's kind of a bit of a interesting way to do that. But I mean, hey, it works. It's a little sketchy, but it works. So the stock value is two 20 microfarad 500 volt caps or 600 volt caps. And then the 220 microfarads are in parallel, which gives you 40 microfarads. So you get, you double or you add the microfarad value if they're in parallel. So 220s gives you 140 equivalent. But the voltage stays the same when they're in parallel versus series. You get more power handling. But you need extra resistors to be able to do in series like this. And so that's why there's resistors hidden in this setup. You can just barely make it out. So very interesting. We're going to return this to stock setup. I mean, this is not a bad idea by any means. It's just a bit hard to implement, as you can see the lengths they had to go to pull it off. But yeah, kind of interesting. So we'll go ahead and just start removing all of this stuff. I'm going to use MOD caps. Same thing I did in my personal Bassman. I've been running it for a long time, and it's been rock solid. So I'm not too worried about it. We will check the B+. Regardless, we're going to replace these caps. These are 05, 48, so this would be, I believe you read this as the 48th week of 2005. So they're, 20 years old at this point. It's worth replacing. All right, there's the Doghouse all done. So we just reused the foam that was in here, and then obviously you guys saw that already. And again, the parallel 20 microfarad 500 volt caps should be just fine. Heat shrunk in place. Not going to have any problems with those. So we'll let it just kind of dry a little bit longer, the silicone, and then put it over. I'm going to put a little note in the Doghouse cover right here, just saying when it was recapped for the next guy. I think I'm going to just kind of go from this side down, from the less involved to the more involved. So we get rid of this cathode bypass cap, get a new one in there, and then take care of those. All right, so we made some good progress so far. I wanted to quickly touch on the adjustable bias circuit here. So we've got the caps replaced. I ended up just replacing really all of the resistors. You really need stable the power here and here, as well as the bias with the Vishay Power Metal Films, great resistors. And then this bias resistor, the factory one, is a 56K. So I made the bias adjustable. This is a 25K trim pot and then a 27K resistor. And that's just basically an educated guess based off my 59 Bassman. That should give us plenty of range to get this dialed in for modern wall voltages. And if you don't know, basically you take the wiper and one end, you ground those two together, and then you've got the resistor going to the other end of the trim pot there. So this is my preferred way to do adjustable bias on these. But yeah, everything is looking good so far. Obviously, we're bypassing the selenium rectifier, so the bottom connection has nothing there If you can't tell, we're just using this as a junction point basically to connect the power transformer to the diode, which is flipping the voltage over. So I'm going to look through everything a little bit closer. I mean, there's a lot of existing work. You can see not the cleanest work in the world, but it's functional. So, it's always a little bit of a balance with amps like this that have been worked on before. If an owner really wants a perfect original restoration, then we'll go through and redo everything. But most of the time, people just want it to function correctly. And then, I just take pride in my work. So I add the little domes, for example, that you don't see elsewhere. But functionally, this other stuff is fine. Last little bits, I just want to do the screen resistors. We'll do the safety diodes for the rectifier. And then tomorrow we'll take care of the 3 prongs. That's going to be more involved, as well as the power switches, the power and standby switch. So yeah, but good progress so far. Pretty happy with how it's coming out.